Rushdie, the only people who see the whole picture are the ones who step outside the frame. Hello learners! Welcome to another day of blotting our ink and squeezing our brains in creative nonfiction. I am Teacher Rebel Grace and you are watching DepEd MP TV. Today, we will indulge ourselves in another lesson, which is writing a reader response critique on a biographical autobiographical narrative. Hence, be ready with your paper, activity notebook, pencil, and your self-learning module. When you were in junior high school, I believe that you have experienced writing and reading biographical narratives. There are differences for each type of narrative that distinguishes one from the other. By the end of this module, you should be able to write a simple reader response critique on a biographical autobiographical narrative. Specifically, you are expected to first, recall biographical autobiographical narrative as a type of creative nonfiction text. Second, define reader response as an approach to writing a critique. Third, apply close reading in analyzing the creative nonfiction text. And fourth, write your own critique on a biographical autobiographical narrative using a reader response critique. But before we press on, let us check what you already know about our topic. Write T if the statement is true and F if it is false. Number 1. A critique is a type of academic writing that briefly summarizes and critically evaluates a work's strengths, relevance, value, and effectiveness. Number 2. A critique is a type of academic writing that expresses one's opinion about a text guided by a specific approach. Number 3. Writing a critique on a text focuses on pointing out its weaknesses and shortcomings. Number 4. Close reading is an analytical reading of a text to get as much information as you can so that you can form as many questions as you can also about the text. Number 5. Annotating a text is a task done to help the reader notice details about the text and also to create questions about the text. Amazing learners, continue answering items 6 to 10. I believe that you can do it. Now, let's check your answers. Number 1, T. Number 2, T. Number 3, F. Number 4, T. Number 5, T. 6 to 10, T. Now, how many did you get? If you garnered a perfect score, that's awesome. However, if you did not, don't be depressed. Because in this lesson, we will dig deeper into writing a reader response critique on a biographical autobiographical narrative. Let's review the biographical and autobiographical narratives through the table in your module on page 3. Based on the information you have reviewed, we can see that all these narratives talk about the life of a person. In this module, we are going to learn what we should remember when we write a critique, what the reader response approach is, and how to write a critique using this approach. Let's move further and proceed to what's new. For this activity, read the statements, and on your answer sheet, write C if the statement reflects a correct idea about writing a critique, and I if the idea is incorrect. Number 1. I can write a critique based on my own opinions only. Number 2. I can write my opinion about a text without explaining its basis. Number 3. Those who write critiques are pessimists or negatively minded people. Number 4. A large part of my critique should focus on summarizing the text I am critiquing.
Number 5. Writing a critique focuses on what is weak or bad in the text I am analyzing.
Let's review your answers. From 1 to 5, the answer is I, because they are all incorrect. I hope that you got them right. It's now time to feed your brains as we discuss. You have probably been required in your other subjects or classes to write a critique on something that you have read or watched. What did you usually write in these critiques? How did you organize your ideas? Were you confident of the critique that you wrote? You may even have believed in those incorrect statements enumerated in the What's New activity. What is a critique? A critique is a type of academic writing that briefly summarizes and critically evaluates a work's strengths, weaknesses, relevance, value, and effectiveness. To be able to do this, you must look into the parts of a work and how these parts are connected or how these parts are similar or different. When we write a critique, we are able to know the work better, understand it, and recognize its strengths and weaknesses. What is close reading? Close reading is an analytical reading of a text to get as much information as you can, so that you can form as many questions as you also can about the text. These questions will help you organize your thoughts as you begin to answer this when you write your critique. These questions are not just limited to what or who, but can also include asking why or how.
What is the reader response approach in writing a critique? When you write a critique using the reader response approach, you examine, explain, and defend your personal reaction to the text. Since you are discussing your personal reaction to the text, there is no right or wrong response, but you should clearly explain and support your reaction. Through this approach, you are challenged to show how you connected with the text. Here are some ideas that you can explore in the reader response approach. How did you feel about this work? Did you feel inspired or did you feel sad? Why did you feel this way? Did you like or dislike the text? What parts did you like or dislike? Why? Did you agree or disagree with the ideas presented by the author? What ideas were these? Why did you agree or disagree with the author? Alright, our sample creative nonfiction text for this module is taken from Ubug Journal 3, Tributaries, a literary journal by the Ubug Cordillera Writers Group. Only the second half of this creative nonfiction text is presented here. In the first half of this text, Charisse narrates her constant losses to her father during their games of chess and how she would rather play in the mountains and pretend as the Pink Power Ranger with her friends who also take on the roles of the other Power Rangers. Do a close reading of the text on your module on page 6 to 7 by answering the questions for analysis. Write your answers in your activity notebook. Here are the questions. Number 1. Is Ambit 90s Pink Power Ranger a biographical or an autobiographical narrative? What makes you say so? Number 2. Are the events in this creative nonfiction text arranged chronologically? Number 3. In this text, the writer focuses on two characters, herself, when she was a child, and her father. What can we say about them based on how they were characterized? A. Ambit and B. Daddy. Number 4. What point of view is used in this creative nonfiction text? Number 5. When and where did the events in this creative nonfiction text happen? Come on, learners, it's time to read the text.
Are you done, learners? Great job! You did an awesome performance. Let us now summarize what you have learned by completing the statements on page 7 in your module.
Number 1. A critique is a type of blank that briefly blank and critically blank a work's blank, weaknesses, relevance, value, and blank. Number 2. Close reading is an blank reading of a text to get as much blank as you can, so that you can form as many blank as you can also about the text. Number 3. When you write a critique using the reader response approach, you examine, explain, and blank your blank reaction to the text. Are you ready to share your answers? For number 1, academic, writing, summarize, strengths, effectiveness. For number 2, analytical, information, questions. And for number 3, defend, personal.
I am delighted that you are about to reach the end of this module. And to guide you in writing a reader response critique on Ambit 90s Pink Power Ranger, go over the following parts on page 8 of your module. First, introduction. Mention the following: title of the work to which you are responding, the author, a short summary of the text, your thesis statement which talks about your personal reaction to the text. Example: I like this autobiography because it shows the special relationship between the father and his daughter.
Number 2 is body. Think about your responses to the following questions. How did you feel about this work? Did you feel inspired or did you feel sad? Why did you feel this way? Did you like or dislike the text? What parts did you like or dislike? Why? Did you agree or disagree with the ideas presented by the author? What ideas were these? Why did you agree or disagree with the author? And for number 3, the conclusion. For this part, you can write about the following: your overall reaction to the text, whether you would read something else like this in the future, if you would recommend this text to someone else and why. Write your answer in your activity notebook.
At last, we can now proceed to the post-assessment. True or false? Write T, the statement is true, and F if it is false.
Number 1. A critique is a type of academic writing that briefly summarizes and critically evaluates a work's strengths, relevance, value, and effectiveness.
Number 2. A critique is a type of academic writing that expresses one's opinion about a text guided by a specific approach. Number 3. Writing a critique on a text focuses on pointing out its weaknesses and shortcomings. Number 4. Close reading is an analytical reading of a text to get as much information as you can, so that you can form as many questions as you can also about the text. And number 5, annotating a text is a task done to help the reader notice details about the text and also to create questions about the text. Amazing learners, continue answering items 6 to 10.
Come, let's check your answers. For number 1, the answer is T. Number 2, T. Number 3, F. Number 4, T. Number 5, T. And for items 6 to 10, the answer is T. Did you now get a perfect score? I hope so. Keep up the great work, everyone.
Congratulations, learners, for successfully finishing this module. Remember this: teachers can open the door, but you must enter it yourself. Keep safe and have a wonderful day ahead.